Now I am a laptop gamer, but today I'm gonna be building my first gaming PC. But there is one issue. Now just like the title says, I have not done this before ever. As far as picking components go, I managed to get help from a friend and pick the parts using PCpartpicker.com. Anyways, with a bit of luck on my side and an empty wallet, I decided to start building my first PC. So let's start off with the motherboard. The motherboard I went with is the ROG Z790A because it has a very nice white aesthetic to it. So obviously the first thing that I wanted to install was the RAM. Now I personally went with 2 sticks of Vengeance Pros. All I had to do is fit the RAM card on the RAM slot perfectly and push hard enough until I heard this. Now I repeated the same procedure with both RAM cards and ideally install them in the 2nd and 4th slots because then the motherboard can take full effect of dual channel memory. Now to go with this motherboard, I got the perfect CPU for it, the i7-13700K. Now I'm personally an Intel fanboy, which is exactly the reason why I went for this, but when I was trying to install the CPU, I went into a little issue here. Because I had no idea how to pull out the lever. It's like, it's so in place, like I can't really do anything about it. Okay, all I was supposed to do is just pop it downwards, slightly apply more pressure, and then I was supposed to slide it away. Well, thanks to YouTube, I was able to figure that out, and then I was finally able to open the CPU slot. Now I can't lie, at this part I was really anxious, because I had to make sure that I didn't damage any of the CPU pins in this procedure, but thank God I didn't, and somehow I managed to do it properly, so yeah. Now putting the lever back on was also kinda intense because I didn't know if everything was in place, but as dumb as this sounds, I decided to take the risk because I saw in the video he just did the same thing, so I just did the same thing as well. Okay, so now let's move on to the SSD. I went with a 1TB Addlink S90 because I have a 4TB external HDD and I wanted to pour more money into a GPU, which is why I went with this. Now to install the SSD, all I had to do is unscrew these 2 screws and then the plate just came out. Now this was my first time experience, so all this was really fascinating to me because I had never built a PC before ever. So for the installation process, all I had to do is slide it in just like that and apply a bit more pressure from the top, and then we had the SSD installed. Then I basically did the same thing in reverse. I put the plate back on and put the 2 screws back in, and we were finally done with installing everything on the motherboard. Now let's move on to the cooler. The cooler I went with is the Kraken X73 because I wasn't able to find an all-white cooler, but luckily the fans were hot swappable, so I decided to swap them for a pack of ST120s because I like the white aesthetic that I'm going for here. After aligning each fan with the screw holes on the tray, I put a screw in each hole and then screwed them in place. And then I repeated the same procedure for the rest of the fans as well. I can't lie, this part was really fun to me because it was my first time experience and it was just so fascinating just to be doing this on my own. So now let's move on to the power supply unit. I went with an 850-watt gold power supply unit. To be fair, the components only needed 750 total, but I figured it would be ideal if I went for an 851 instead of a 751. Now thanks to one YouTube tutorial and one of my friends, I was able to plug all these cables in properly because at first I was really bamboozled because there were so many other cables. And now let's unbox the big boy, the case itself. I went with the classic O11 Dynamic. I wasn't able to find the O11 Dynamic Evo because my country has the worst stocks in the world, so I decided to go with the O11 Dynamic, which has black and white, which is not that much of a deal breaker for me, so yeah. And then I gently placed the motherboard inside the case and installed it. Now, at this point it was the wiring and a few other things left. Now connecting the CPU header got a little bit confusing. Apologies for this part, we had to get the rest of the PC done. This includes the wiring, the streamer, the cooler's header, the 6 fans on the side, and the GPU, because I figured that if I did it on my own, I would have damaged some component, and I didn't want that to happen in my first build. So I'm so sorry about that, guys. Now I'm not sponsored to say this, but thanks to Nanotech for doing the rest of the job for me. Then after bringing my PC home, the final step was to plug in the power cord. It was finally the moment to turn it on for the very first time. I was kinda excited, but kinda nervous at the same time. Alright, here we go, guys. In 3, 2, 1, go. Oh my god. What? Yo, that looks cool. Holy shit, boys. What the fuck? This thing looks cool. What? Look at this, guys. I got the ROG laptop and the ROG PC. Let's go! Now with the PC finally turned on, I decided to install Windows onto it, and it was finally the time to take off the protective film. Now here's some really satisfying footage of me peeling it off. I really loved this part. It was my first time doing it and it felt amazing. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, consider dropping a like button and hit the red subscribe button down below if you're interested in content just like this. With that being said, I will see you guys all in my next one. Until then, stay awesome and peace out.
it.